Okay. All right, so we are live. Welcome. Thank you for coming. This is the Ross Local School District Introduction to Google Classroom for Young Learners. Targeted audience, kindergarten, first grade teachers, because we haven't really focused on Google Classroom with these two grade levels. This is going to be very much an introduction. You guys are welcome to take notes. All right, so we are live. Welcome. Kristen, thank you for coming.
Okay, you know how to fix that, Sarah.
Introduction to Google Classroom for Young Learners. Targeted audience. See, I did it again.
But you learned from yesterday.
Yeah, but then I think somebody else is talking and it's very weird. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and laugh. It's all right. All right. So just getting you guys started, seeing what the various pieces are. If you're comfortable and you have the availability today and then tomorrow, probably more importantly, if you have a second device, you can have Zoom up on one and then on the other one, log into your school account, and then you could be actually in your Google Classroom. If you don't have a second device, have no fear. Don't be in full screen mode of Zoom. You can always minimize. Even if you can't see the rest of us, you'll be able to hear us, and then you can have your Chrome open and you can be moving things around. It's kind of just one of those tricks that I've learned over the course of these last 6 months, that if you want to actually be doing at that moment, a second device is invaluable. Chromebooks are wonderful for that. I've seen people that get on the meeting with their phone so that their device is available for them to be on their actual computer. But those are just a few things to think about in this particular setting so that you could go in and you can actually do these things that I'm talking about, but you don't have to. Okay, so with that, I'm going to share my screen. Yay, Debbie's back. Okay. Share my screen.
Hi, I'm here.
Debbie's back.
Yay.
Okay. So let me go to. So when your kids log into Chromebooks, you know that they're going to automatically come to the respective building's Media Center page. So for them to get to Google Classroom, I've laid this all out so that it's icon based. You guys are well aware, like it becomes very easy for the kids to associate these pictures with the program's classroom. It's the green square with the yellow box around it. It's got a giant C underneath it. Use those words to get the kids there. And then when you click on it, it takes them in. Now, I promise you, kindergarten, first grade, I will absolutely be coming into your classrooms, if you want me to help you get all of your kids logged in. It's going to be a scheduling thing because you're only going to have half of your kids those first 2 days, right? And then it's the other half of the kids the second 2 days, and and I'm only there, every other day. So we'll schedule this out. We'll get it worked out. We'll make it happen. And also, you guys were the carts that all got dismantled, so we're going to reassemble them too. But this is something that I feel very strongly we get up and going right away. I've heard of schools that are open for a day or two and then they have to shut down. And I say prayers every day that doesn't happen to us. But I think the sooner we get in there, at least then all of the accounts are connected. We've troubleshot anything that needs to be done, and then you're there. So I just want to give you a very brief overview of this homepage. And I want you to think as a student, okay? Be your little first grade self, be your little kindergarten selves that are going to be walking in, and look at a few things. Colors, there are words, and there's big giant tiles, right? Right now, I am part of 7 different classes. I'm not the teacher in every single one of these, but I'm part of 7 different classes. So the first thing I say to you is you have to really think as a kindergartner walking in and using a Chromebook, maybe for the first time, having 7 options of things to choose from is a lot. Okay? So you guys are all self-contained. My recommendation to you is having one Google Classroom for your students, and that's it. Okay? You will not use these classes in the same way that a 4th grade teacher uses them. Plus, those kids have had multiple years of experience in with this. Simple is going to be your theme. Now, I want you to also look, this is all very text heavy. Think as a kindergartner and a 1st grader, that's tough. Even some of your top readers, all of this text is tough. So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to create a class, and I'm going to give you a big tip as to how you can make it a little bit friendlier for your age of students. And it's going to involve some pictures. But you do see that there are some pictures on here, right? Some graphic elements. Think about that. Like, I know there are a lot of teachers that have that mindset. They have the class themes, like we're Team Ninja this year, or we're camping this year, or we're, the incredible, like whatever your theme is, you could incorporate that into your little Google Classroom tile too, which will help the students associate that with you specifically. Art, music, and gym are also going to have Google Classrooms. The 2 buildings are set up differently, so it might look different for you guys. And we can talk about that later, but this is geared towards you and getting yourself comfortable with your kids. So each of these represents a classroom. And that's where I say for kindergarten, 1st grade, just give them one, because they're click happy, right? And if you give them 4 things to choose from clicking on, they've got like a 25% chance of getting the right one. If you give them one, it's that or nothing. Okay, so to create a class, it's very easy. It truly is a very simple process. This plus sign in the top right-hand corner. Because think math class, when you want to add, you want to make something, create, it's the plus sign. As a teacher, you have 2 options. Students will only have 1. Kids will not have the ability to create classes. We don't want them to. So this is you setting it up for the first time. You're going to create your class. The single requirement right here is a name. That is it. You don't need to fill in any of the rest of these unless you choose to. And quite honestly, for kindergarten and 1st grade, probably not remotely close to being necessary. Okay, because again, they're not going to be reading a lot of this stuff. Now, here's the first big tip that I want you to think about. If you can kind of see these tiles behind, do you see how this one has like some dots and this one has some dots? If your name gets to be more than, let's estimate like 20, 25 characters, the rest of it doesn't show. So think about these names. You've got space, and then the rest of it is gone. Going beyond click, I don't even know what that is, and I'm in that class, right? But over here, practice classroom, boom, done. So while you could go out forever, you don't have to, and your kids aren't going to be able to see it. Now, here's my big tip, okay? You could certainly put in your name. You could certainly put in whatever it is that you want. That's the idea behind Google Classroom. You can customize. But kids are very pictures, right? Especially kindergarten, 1st grade, they're the images, their pictures. This is what I suggest you do. Get a website like Copy Paste Emoji or Emojipedia or search emojis, whatever. And then in here, find an icon that you feel comfortable using to represent your class. It could be a puppy dog. It could be an umbrella. It could be a little camping tent. And these will be the same icons that you use like when you're texting, those emoji keyboards. So for instance, like I love social studies, right? So my brain might logically go to an American flag or maybe a globe. It truly doesn't matter what your icon is, but it's whatever you're willing to associate with your class for your students to get comfortable and remember. So let's say I want to put the American flag in there. I'm going to, select it and then copy it, come back to my class, paste it in there, and then you put your words. But you've given the kids a picture clue. You guys, do you see the one? Like, you might have 2 tiles because you get specials, or you only have the one. That makes it real simple. But do you see the one with the flag on it? Click on that one. Even your lowest readers, your non-readers, can identify that flag, right? And then maybe you put in your name. Being self-contained, is anything else necessary? I don't think so, but you're welcome to put in whatever. And then you hit the create button. I'm going to leave everything else blank. I hit that create button. Give it a moment to think. And then it's going to push you right into that class. Now, if you notice up here, who knows what that really, like it's glasses in a book. Google automatically picks something for you. We can customize that. And that's where you have the options over here to select a theme, which would be to pull from their bank of images, or you can upload. So you can customize if you would like. So maybe you do have a particular theme in your classroom, you can customize a banner. We would have to work through creating that, and I can give you a template if you'd like, and then we upload it, and then that becomes the background. I will say those tend to go kind of dark, and it's an accessibility thing, and you can't change it. So I would probably recommend just going into this select theme, and then you have multiple options to choose from. Like this is just in the general. Maybe you're big into English and history. Here are some of their generic. And again, whatever you're willing to associate with your class to give them this feeling is the important thing. If you're big, like I love globes, I've got that flag and a globe, they kind of go together. Math and science, you can go through these. There's not 8,000 different options, but I think that there's enough. You maybe want to have the food. Oh, look, carrots, healthy eating. Grilling. Okay. Whatever you would like. So me being the nerdy social studies that I am, I'm going to pick this one because it goes with America. And all it's doing is changing that background. But then it does also heavily color that. It gives you a color for your students to also associate with your class. And then your class literally has been created at this point. You could go ahead, start adding in kids, you could add in work, you could add in links, this is really where this first step is ready to go. So questions at this point, anyone?
Sarah, how do you edit it? Like if I want, let's say I put the wrong icon up there.
Up here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang on, I gotta move
That takes too long. I'll figure it out later.
No, I just needed to move our faces.
Okay.
So I can see my buttons.
Okay.
So I'm in this class, right?
Yep.
This is the class that I need to edit.
Yep.
Maybe you have a typo, maybe you want to change it. The gear wheel up here to the right.
Okay. Oh, yep. Got it. All right.
And then you can edit.
All right. Got it. Thank you.
Now, please keep in mind, see the save button over here? If I were to change this, it doesn't do the automatic Google save. You do have to click that save button.
Okay.
Okay, so just double check that. Okay, now I didn't make any changes. Okay, other questions? Okay, so the next big task that we need to tackle is getting your kids in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first grade teachers that I've already come into your classes, I believe that we've all done it the same way. And I love this method. It does take work on your part, and I will be very honest with you about that. It takes time on your end, but I promise you that in the long run, it saves headache, it saves frustration on your part and the kids' part, and it will end up saving you time in the long run. So notice these tabs up here. The stream feels very social media. We'll come back to it. The classwork is where you're putting in your stuff. People, hey, that's where the kids are. So you click on your people tab, and you have two basic sections here. At the top is your teachers. Okay, I created this class, so obviously I'm showing up. Now, if I want to add a co-teacher, intervention specialist, title, if you want Debbie to join your class, if you have instructional aids that should be in there that should have teacher abilities, you can add them up here. So for example, Debbie, can I invite you, but just as an example? Thumbs up.
She says yes.
Okay. So this is the nice thing about our domain here is, notice I've only typed in DEB. She's popping up in there. I don't actually have to type in her whole name, even though I totally know it. Short little time saver. I'm going to click that. I could add in multiple people if I wanted to. Just keep in mind that when I add Debbie, she's got all of the same privileges that I do with this class, adding and subtracting. So Debbie and I have agreed that it'd be a good idea for her to be in this class, and Debbie's going to respect my stuff and I'm going to respect her stuff, you know, like that whole jazz. I'm going to click invite. Debbie's now going to get an email, and she's going to have to accept that invitation. Debbie, you don't have to do that right now. But once she has, she'll show up the same way that I do up here, and you'll be able to see. And then Debbie, you can see everything from the teacher perspective in this class that I have, and I'll be able to see everything that you've put in there the same way. It works the same for your students. So by clicking on this little person plus, and I love the little hover feature. If you don't know what that is, take your cursor and just hover over an icon, and it gives you this little gray box, and it explains to you very quickly like what that is. So I'm going to invite students. So for example, maybe I want to invite, anyone want to volunteer to be a student in my class?
Sure, I will.
But you're already a teacher, Debbie.
That's true.
Bittner?
I can't multitask.
Yeah, that's fine.
You were nodding.
Mhm.
Okay. So now you can do first name or last name. That's really nice, because sometimes, you know, the Caitlins, the Kristens, they're spelled 12 different ways. That was the bane. Those two names were the bane of my 7th and 8th grade years, because I never got them right. So Kristen, and then you can keep typing. So you have your class list sitting there in front of you. Start adding in all your kids. Invite.
Do you, like, if I'm just going to start typing their name, do I start with their last name or their first name?
Either one.
Oh, they're going to pop up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. That's the beauty.
You're right. They do.
They do. Now, if they don't pop up, and I've seen this happen, because it's the beginning of the school year, we do still have these trickles that they enrolled yesterday. It does take a little bit of time. We have to get that official paperwork before they can put them into our system. And then they can't, before they go into our system, you know, that stuff has to happen. And then once they're in our system, then we can start creating their accounts. We can't create accounts until they're officially enrolled, can't officially enroll them until their paperwork's done. And that becomes then the parents. So they may appear on your class list, but if they're not popping up, just know it takes, you know, a day or two. And at this time of year, it's like a deluge, or there's nothing. So when we take a deep breath and go, okay, they'll be there tomorrow. If they're not there tomorrow, it'll be the next day. And if it's been a couple of days, then let me know and I'll check into it. And sometimes it could be their name is misspelled somewhere, not necessarily in Google, but if it's misspelled, we have done, and this sounds kind of crazy, and this is just a little bit of our back end world, is we do a lot trying to sync things so that it happens in a much timelier fashion. But sometimes we transpose letters, not intentionally, it just happens. And then that puts a hiccup for that particular kid. And then we have to find where that is. So I apologize if that ever happens to you, but humans are still doing the bulk of this creation thing. So there's mistakes that happen. I've made, like I said, Caitlin, I just can't spell that name. I'll pick the wrong one every time. I don't care, it just happens. Okay, so you go through, you add all your kids. Kristen.
Yeah.
Are you brave enough to share your screen? Like, do you care? So we
No,
can
I can do that.
see this from a student perspective.
All right. I had my other computer up here. I was adding my names. Okay. So I have to share my computer or
Hang
share
on.
my screen.
I have to give you permission first.
Oh.
Okay. So I just want them to see the beauty. 'Cause I
So
think,
I'm going to be sharing my Zoom meeting.
can you share a Google Classroom?
Yeah, but I was doing it on my my other computer.
Okay.
Can I still do that?
Or if you want, can you just, turn your computer to Google Classroom so we can see it? Sharing would be better.
Yeah, but I'm typing in my names. I'm
Okay.
typing in my names. Okay, let me share. And how do I do that?
Are you in full screen?
Yes.
Tap your ESC key in the top left corner of your
Yep.
keyboard.
Okay.
Then it should have made your window a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Do you see Chrome?
Hold on a second. Yeah, I see the Google Chrome icon.
Okay, can you open that and go to
Yeah.
classroom.google.com?
Yeah. Is everybody patient right now?
Right.
We're packing the people. While we sit and we wait and we watch.
Okay. Now, now I'm going to come back here and now I'll share it, I guess, and that should work.
Yeah, and I always share my desktop because then I don't have to worry about, shoot, I picked the wrong window, or no, it was supposed to be that. I just do desktop.
Well, okay, here I got it. Okay. Okay, share.
Okay, so hang tight here.
Okay.
So I'll be with you. We'll get the kids to this point. Do you see the difference between her two classes? Mrs. Bittner with the owl shows 0 students because she's the teacher. Pretend like that isn't there for now. She's going in as a student into my first grade classroom or my kindergarten classroom. There's one, it's got a cute little flag. It has my little profile, sunshine, it's fun. Bluish, purple, I don't know what you call that. All you have to do at this point, Kristen, is click that join button. Think about how nice that is for your kindergartners and your first graders. That big blue join button. They don't even have to know what the word join is.
Right.
All right, Kristen, on this screen, you could just click that X and it can go away. And then she's there. That is the best way for our littlest guys to join and gals to join. Now notice up there, because she's in as a student, she only has stream, classwork, and people. Those tabs up at the top. As a student, you have those 3 teachers. You're going to have the 4th one of grades. But please don't stress about the grades piece right now. That's a topic. We'll actually talk about grading in Google Classroom tomorrow. But you see how nice that is if you take the 5-10 minutes to go ahead and have them type in. That makes it really easy when I come in and because number one, we're logging into Chromebooks, which involves them doing a little typing, picking the Google Classroom icon. For the first time, there will be a setup for them choosing that they are a student and not a teacher in classroom. It's a one-time thing. I promise I'm there walking them through it with you, but then they click join and they're here. Okay, again, a one-time thing. All right, Kristen, can you go back now on your hamburger menu
Mm-hmm.
and click on classes? So this is day 2 of logging in. The blue join button is gone and they have your class and you say, okay, can you click on the class that has the whatever icon, you know, your identifier icon with my name? And it's that easy. Okay, a little bit of coaching. And you guys have seen, like, I don't typically touch the kids' Chromebooks. The sooner that, with COVID, I had this thought today, like with COVID, we really probably shouldn't be touching their Chromebooks. And I know that that's something that we all tend to do because we want to help them. But this time period that we're living through, not touching actually empowers them, if you think about it. Because you can like point to their screen, you can point in that area and they can move either with their trackpad or their mouse, whatever's available. But it will empower them and you'll see that they'll pick up on it pretty quick. Okay, so are we good on creating and then having kids put in there? Questions? Questions, no questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay, Kristen, can you unshare if you don't mind? Okay. So then what I'm gonna do is share my screen again. And then you see how Kristen now shows up gray, like a darker gray as opposed to still being invited. That's how you'll know which students have successfully joined and which ones have not. And it does happen fairly quickly. Okay, this invite guardians, we can talk about that a little bit later. It's a means to adding in parent email addresses, and then the parents can opt into an email every day if they have a Google account, or each week if they have a non-Google account. That I feel like is down the road still. I wouldn't worry about it, but I also want you to understand like what that means. It's a good communication tool, but for our purposes right now, I think it's something that we push off a bit. Okay, if you get real interested, you want to try it out, let me know. We could circle back with you particularly, or that teacher, this group, we can circle back to that. Now, let's go into, I want to talk to you about a few of these settings because this will help you feel more comfortable, but also help you understand the things that you can restrict and the things that you can't restrict or allow to happen or not happen, all of that kind of thing. I'm going to stick in my particular classroom because this is the classroom that I am working with. There are settings in multiple places, and I point that out because there's settings in multiple places. So this gear wheel up here in this particular classroom is going to take me into my settings for this class. If you end up with more classes or kindergarten teachers, if you have an AM class and you have your PM class, you'll have to repeat if you want these settings to carry through for the other one. So again, like Kristen asked before, this is where you can adjust, edit, add, subtract if you would like. This general area, I'll make a few recommendations. Some of it I'm just going to say, just ignore it because it's not going to work. It's not going to mean anything. This whole manage invite codes, it is enabled. There's nothing wrong with it. You guys are actually inviting the kids via their account, so you can just ignore this piece. It doesn't mean anything to you. This invite link right here is if you were to be emailing the link to them. But number one, our kindergartners and first graders do not have email accounts. They will not have access to email accounts. In my opinion, that's just way too far above and beyond them. We've got other things that we need to focus on first. So again, just ignore this. This class code would be if you were having them click the plus sign and then type in the code to get to your class. So again, all of this right here, you can ignore. It's there. Don't worry about it. Now we come to this chunk right here. There's a couple of places here that I'm going to give you a very strong recommendation, to the point where I do believe that this is best for your students. I would click on this classwork on the stream, and I would choose the option that says to hide notifications. Right now, that doesn't mean a whole lot to you. I'll explain that more when we start getting into actually creating some assignments, and we'll be able to see better what that truly means. But this is an area where the second grade and some of the third grade and some of the fourth grade teachers in the spring had kids get very lost in classroom. And by turning off and like turning on, clicking the hide notifications, whichever way you want to think about that, it really cleaned things up for the kids, and it allowed them to more easily find what they needed to get to. So I strongly recommend hide notifications. This area up here, I'm going to,
sorry, I don't have.
I watch. I'm going to make the recommendation up here that for now, make it so that only teachers can post or comment. This is an area of digital citizenship that I think is a very valuable piece for September 8th, 2020. I think this could end up being a little bit more of a headache than what we really need. Again, let's focus on best for these kids for right now. This would allow kids to be commenting to each other or commenting back on something that you put in, which is not a terrible thing. But again, for right now, I think it's kind of up here, and we need to still focus about here. Okay, so I would recommend turning on only teachers can post or comment, which in our scenario, Debbie is also a teacher. So this allows her to also post or comment, and I can post or comment, but Kristen Bittner cannot because she's in as a student. Okay, so it becomes like that, kind of like a breather, like, okay. Now, show deleted items. I don't know why you would want the kids to see that you've deleted something, so leave that one off. And then the guardian summaries, I would just leave this one alone because it might be something that you want to do later. We can always turn it back on, but until you do something with it, it's not active. Okay. Now, this is a really new update to Google Classroom. They're automatically creating a Google Meet link inside of Classroom. Please ignore this. Don't do anything with it. Teachers have Zoom accounts. Zoom is what we used in the spring. We're not veering off of that path, but Google is forcing this into Classroom. The kids cannot see anything. Notice it says visible to students. It's off. If you turn that on, that does allow them the ability to get into a Google Meet. And if more than one student gets into the Google Meet, they can be in there without you. So just leave this off. Ignore this Google Meet. We are not using this in our district.
That's actually not on my screen, but I guess it doesn't matter.
As a student?
No, as a teacher.
Oh, good. Because I asked Robin if he could see if there was a way that we could hide that. And I always have to remember, because I'm a little bit higher in the Google for Ross so that I can make some of these changes too. Some of the stuff just always is going to show for me. So that's good if you can't see it, because
For the teacher screen, it doesn't show up.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So then the bottom chunk down here is your grading. My understanding with first grade, you in kindergarten, you guys don't use like the traditional grading structure, like the 90s. And
no.
So this one, I'm just kind of leave it there. unless you feel very strongly and you want to be changing things, I would just kind of leave this one like it is what it is. And you say, rock on. Okay. Make sure you click the save button. Okay, so those are the settings inside this particular class. Questions? We good? Okay, so are we ready to make some assignments? Okay, so that's all going to happen in classwork. And that actually kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Like, guys, this is classwork. Whether we're here at face-to-face or we're remote in that, it's classwork. Now we are asking that you guys create your topics to be the weeks. What you can do right now and help yourself out in the long run is if you wanted to go ahead and create the first, and I would recommend only doing the first quarter, because I have that little, I don't know, angel or devil, whichever one you want to think of them, in my head going, how long can we, are we, will we? I have that in my head. So don't go out too far, because if we have to pivot and all that kind of stuff, I would feel badly that you've done a lot of extra work. But you can actually right now, today is August 27th, you could go ahead and create all of your topics by week and have them ready to go. And the really nice thing is the kids don't see any of them until you actually put something in that topic. So if you made a topic for out in December because you were really gung-ho, you were really ahead of the game, the kids wouldn't see it until you put something in there. So that's where I say, if you want to pre-plan this a little bit, give yourself that structure ahead of time, go ahead and create all of your topics by clicking on the create. And we'll come back to the other ones. I'm focusing on topics right now. And again, keep in mind, we're doing this K-12. So, you know, high schoolers will have this same structure. Middle schoolers will have the same structure. They're using Schoology, so it looks a little bit different, but it's the same idea. And then all of the elementaries, they're going to create topics. And then this is going to be week of, whether it's the whole word, it's the WK abbreviation, okay? Week of September, oh, I always misspell that. 8th through the 11th, I believe. And then you click add. And then I'm going, okay, I want to go ahead and put the next week in. So I'm going to create again, topic, week of September 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Calendars are really nice at this point if you have one in front of you. I also like to just count on my hands. I have made mistakes before, people, though. So calendars they're pretty good. So you get like this repeat. Create the following week. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay.
Sarah, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Are we creating these for even the weeks that we're in school, or is it just to be prepared for if we go remote?
That is an excellent question. And here's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Create them from day one. Because again, that, I'm going to call him a devil, is in my ear going, well, what happens if on day 3?
Yes.
Your class, Elda, has to be, you know, then it's not, oh shoot, I didn't do that. But then also, you're going to have kids that are out tomorrow, or don't show up the first day, or end up being out for 4 days or 14 days. If you already have this structure in place, whether we are lucky enough to be face to face with all these kids, you will have pockets of students that are not there.
Okay.
Maybe they're sick with strep, but then think about how nice this is for you. Anything that you put in this September 8th, like let's say let's say you have my Emily and she's out on the 10th and the 11th. When she comes back that following week, the work that you've put in here still is missing for Emily. So it helps you also kind of keep track of what they have and haven't done, because it's showing missing on here too. Just like you would have those folders. I always had like a folder where you could tuck in the missing work. That's what this is, but digitally. And we're saying go ahead and set these up and use them from day one, because day two, one of them might be out. Or week 3, we're shut down. The structure's there. The kids have already seen this. It's not like in March where bam, and then we're like, oh crap, what? So if somebody said this yesterday, and I liked how she put it. She said, so I have to be thinking that even though I'm face to face, I'm teaching remotely. And I said, I like that. I know it feels negative, but in essence, that's what we're preparing for, right? Some of our kids will be remote for whatever reason, or we all might be remote. So
Sarah, I had a question. So when it says week of September 21st to 25th, does it break it down into days also, or just like general for the week?
Okay, so Google Classroom allows you to make as many topics as you would like, but you can't make subtopics.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
then in my brain, I'm wondering how many items should I have per week? And that's probably just something I have to try to figure out on my own, a little bit of how many items I want in there per week, like a phonics item, math, like reading of some sort. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll show you some tips that I have come across, some tips that I have seen work really well, especially for your little ones. But let's pretend like I have all of my topics on here. I don't. But I got 3 of them. Over here on the left, you see how they're gray? The kids see nothing until I put something in there. Okay, so if Kristen were to go into that Google Classroom that she joined as a student, right now everything is still blank. So as a teacher, you can build this without them actually seeing all of it, which is really nice. Another thing I want to point out to you is we want, sorry, I went a little too click happy, is the current week at the top. I like to call these my Jedi mind tricks. You can take this week and you can move it. You see, I'm just dragging, clicking and dragging. You can also, the world's skinniest snowman over here, the world's skinniest snowman, when you click on him, you can also do the move up, move down. It's gonna either put him up on top of one or put him below the one below. So maybe I'm going to move him down. So we pretend like we put some stuff in here. And now it's September 14th through the 18th. As the teacher, I'm going to pull this one up so that when the kids log in, this is now what they see first. And then next week or last week's is below it. It's a little Jedi mind trick because they're going to focus on what they see first and everything else kind of falls off. And it's something you do once a week. Okay, it's the new week. I'm going to bring this up. Now, the other nice thing that can happen once we get going with this is these topics over here also can limit students' view as well as your view of this. So if I only want to see September 8th through the 11th, this will take some very explicit teaching to your students. If they click on that, that's all they see right now. They have to click on it first, otherwise they see anything that you've posted in there over here. If you want them to see everything, it's all. Okay, so it's a few of the different views. Now, let's add an assignment or two or whatever. And keep in mind, you can post things in here that aren't things for them to give back to you. You know, like if you've created your video and you want to post that in there, put it in that particular week. It's not that the kids are going to be typing something. It's not that they're going to, you know, be picking up paper and cutting things out or doing something, but you're keeping it all together, whatever it is that you want them to do for that week. And again, you come back to this create button. And then here, let's talk about a few of these right here. So this top one is one that you'll probably use a lot. But again, when I say a lot for kindergarten and first grade, I don't mean that you have to have an assignment every single day. That's where your professional expertise comes into play more than mine. If you say, hey, if I want to do activity X, I can ask you some questions to help you understand which is the better idea. The assignment truly is when you push something out to the kids and you want them to give you something back. So a worksheet, an activity that you're giving to them and you want to get something back from them. Most of the time, it also has the idea that you're grading it. But please know that grading doesn't necessarily mean anything more than they've completed it too. A quiz assignment is a quiz. And yes, little guys can do quizzes on here. They can. A question, I love this one, and I think you guys will really love this one too. And this is where I would suggest maybe starting. This question feature is wonderful. You're literally asking them a question. You can take points for it, again, like that graded idea, like is it a completion grade? Is it really something that you're grading? Material is if you want to share a website with them, if you want to share a video with them, if you have rules that you want to put in there, you guys do your little phonics dancing stuff. If you have images that you want them to have access to, material is really just like giving them something. Maybe they refer to it, maybe they just see it. Reuse post, you can actually reuse things. That one I don't think is used a whole lot. I think that's definitely more of an order because they have so much more. Again, you guys don't feel like you have to put in 12 different things each week. I don't see that. I don't think that's even a good idea. Okay, you guys are very much more the tactile and all that, but this stuff is available to you. So let's use it to the best of our abilities here. So for example, I love this question. Okay, and I would recommend that you have something in here for the kids. So that first time that they log in, it could be, what is your favorite color? It could be, what is your favorite food? It could be, what activity do you like doing? You know, it doesn't have to be academic. It can totally be something fun. How are you feeling today? Okay, so let's go with, how are you feeling today? Now, again, for your little ones, the instructions, it's great to add supplemental information, but is it just text on the page that some of them, most of them aren't going to need anyway because they can't read it? Now, over here, you have two options. Short answer, multiple choice. Short answer, they'd have to do some typing. First grade, that might be a good way for you to kind of gauge, can they do some typing? It might be something that you just tuck away in your brain for like later on, right? So I love this multiple choice feature. So down here, option one, it doesn't have to be text. Do you remember my copy paste emoji website? I have it bookmarked because I love it that much. So smiles and people. Okay, so let's pick grinning face. Again, select I'm copying it. I'm pasting it in there. Option 2. Let's pick a thinking face. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Copy, paste. And maybe you pick a, what else might kids know? Maybe a frowny face. Copy, paste. Ooh, that, I don't like that one. So let's find another one. See if this works better, maybe. There you go. So you see how you can even do some of those check-ins, those little social emotional kinds of things too. Now over here, gotta move my pictures. It's for my class because that's the only one. Here's where you can do some of your differentiation as well. So maybe you want it to be for all of your students. Pretend like I have a list of 20. It doesn't have to be to all of your students. Maybe you know that these 3 are definitely going to be out today because this one has strep, this one's at a funeral, and this one's in quarantine. And this is something that I want to do today with these kids. You can uncheck kids, or you can have them all checked. And then this is where when you have co-teachers like Debbie come in, she can assign things just to particular kids. And then none of the other kids see it. They have no idea. Okay, so since Kristen's my only student, Kristen, sorry, you're on the hook.
Okay. I have to participate here?
Not yet.
Okay.
Now here's where you can give it point values. And this is where I say, like, for kindergarten and first graders, is it a point because they did it? Does it mean anything to them? I'm going to say probably not. You can put ungraded. And again, for you guys, that grades tab is really more of, has this student done something? Has it not done something? You know, it's kind of one of those. I like putting a point value on it because that allows me to see that who did and who didn't type deal. Due dates. Due dates are either your best friend or they're your worst enemy. And sometimes they're both at the same time. I need deadlines. I need to know that something is expected of me by a certain date. I operate very, very well that way. Some people do not. Some people are like, boom, I'm getting it done right away today. That's wonderful. God love you people, but that's not how I am. You can pick due dates when it's appropriate. So if you're giving an assignment, and again, think about it as a student. Bonnie, if I gave you an assignment and I didn't put any point value on it and I didn't give it a due date, what does your brain think?
I don't know. I'd probably do it right away just because I wouldn't know when it was due.
And you'll have students like that.
Yeah, but otherwise you might have a student that just says, oh, she doesn't care. Whenever I turn it in, it'll be fine.
Or I
Right.
don't have to do it.
So, yeah,
I don't have to do
I don't
it.
have to do it.
No due date, no point value.
Right.
So this is another little Jedi mind trick. If you put a point value, even if it's 1, not making it, and these grades don't mean anything to anybody other than you, right? Now, put yourself in that remote situation. If we all go remote again, some of us are parents, a lot of us are parents. You know, if my kid's getting work assigned to them that has no due date and no point value assigned to it, I probably, you know, well, we all know.
Yeah, you'd skip
That's
it.
Mhm.
It's a lot, right? I mean, we'll do what we have to do to make it through. So you guys do have a lot of sway with your students in that manner. But again, back when I was talking with Christy Mercer, if you put those dates on there, it also helps you keep track of who has and hasn't done things in certain time frames, right? And then this topic area is where you attach it to that particular week that you want it to fall under. So you pre-planners, you people that like to plan things out 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance, here's where you can shine. You can pick these topics. You can also create a topic if you would like at this point. And then here's on an ask question, on a question, the kids can see each other's results, the summary of them. Okay, they can't tell Bonnie picked this and Jill picked that and Christy picked this one. They can't see any of that, but they can see as a whole how many picked this one, how many picked this one. It's a really nice little data interpretation activity if you think about that. Okay, well, if 10 kids picked this face, what does that tell you? You know, data interpretation, it's great if you can start them young. Now, here's the other bonus. Those of you planners, any of you, I like to plan my week 2 weeks out. Click on this little shark toothy here. Christy's like, no. And honestly, sometimes pre-planning bites you, doesn't it? Yeah. This little shark tooth down here, I love this. Schedule it. Schedule it. I love it. So maybe I want to schedule this question. Again, those of you that like to maybe you want to ask a question every day. Maybe you want to ask a question every Thursday or whatever. Click on that little shark tooth, a nice little calendar comes up. I want this one. I know, and maybe you go, okay, Sarah's coming in on September 10th. I want there to be something in there for the kids. So I'm going to schedule this one for September 10th. You can pick to the minute. That's how crazy this is. So maybe you want it to drop or whatever you want to call it at 2:25 p.m. You can pick whatever you want and schedule it. It's here. Kristen still can't see it. My one and only student, she can't see it. She won't see it until September 10th at 2:25. So planners, you can really enjoy this. It's wonderful.
Sarah, on the ungraded part where you put the point, I picked ungraded, but now I want to go back and put a point, but it won't let me.
Click on your skinny snowman.
I did.
Go to edit.
Yep.
And then change it.
It won't let me.
What if you click, is there a shark tooth?
Yep. And it won't let me.
What if you delete the word?
Okay.
Can you
Delete.
type?
Shark tooth. Bounces back to ungraded.
Is it a question?
Yes. My screen looks exactly like yours. I did a question. I have 4 choices and I have all students and it won't let me change it from ungraded. Not that I care, but I mean, I was going to go back and make it a point. Here,
Interesting.
can you see that? Oh, well, you don't have to worry about me. I'll figure it out later. We got other stuff to do. But anyway, interesting. It won't
All
let
about
me.
you, Kristen.
What? What?
Not all about you, honey.
I know.
Christy, which one are you feeling?
Is there an annoyed face? No, just kidding.
Neglected. Neglected.
The eye roll.
Anyway, just a little FYI, it won't let me change it and the shark tooth won't give me an option.
And do keep that in mind. There's a lot of things that you can kind of come back and you can edit. There are some things that you can't. Okay.
That apparently is one of them.
Thanks for letting us know that, because that's good, because I probably would have done the same thing.
Like I thought first ungraded, but you said, oh, add a point value. I'm like, okay. And now I can't. Like, too bad, lady. So
Well,
anyway, all right, that's good.
But because you're still so far out, you can always like delete this one and then add a new one, and the kids don't, or
No, it'll be
keep it
fine.
ungraded. You know, so that's kind of the beauty of all of this. Is a lot of it is very Christy does it her way, and Jill's doing it her way, and there's some good ways, but ultimately it has to work for you and your brain too. Okay. Now I've just looked at the time. We're at 2:30. I could honestly go on about a lot of this stuff for days. Okay, not just hours. I could go for days. But I don't think that we need to jump into everything right this second either. But getting a classroom up, getting your kids in is the important part. I would suggest going ahead and putting in your weeks. Just don't do more than 9 weeks. You don't have to do all 9, but don't do more than 9. I feel like it's too much, and there's too much unknown at this point. Okay. Now, the other thing I will tell you, I'm going to schedule this again. The other thing I will tell you is a lot of teachers, when they first get into this, after a while, your one particular class might feel like there's too much there and it becomes too full of stuff. You don't have to keep a classroom alive for forever. So try it out for this first quarter. And by try it out, I mean, pick a style of maybe adding emojis to things, using points or not using points, due dates or not, or a combination. When it comes time for second quarter, it's always a very nice breaking point, because typically like grades have to be done at some point, and the grades are then what they are. And then, you start fresh second quarter. You could create a whole new class. So all of that work from first quarter is officially done. And okay, guys, we're starting over. And then you as a teacher know that maybe I need to tweak this. Maybe I need to think about it that way. Or maybe I need point values because I know 10 of my kids aren't going to do anything if I don't. So think of those grading periods too as nice kind of pauses for you as a teacher if you need to pivot. I'm not saying that you have to, but know that that is an option. Because, you get into it and you might start out and go, why did I ever think that that was a good idea? Use your grading periods to kind of help have your back on that. It's another Jedi mind trick that you can put in your back pocket. But then it also does clean things up for the kids, and they don't have so much stuff there. Okay. Questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So if you do start over second quarter with a new Google Classroom, what happens to the old one? What if you need to go back and refer to it, or maybe you want somebody to go back and maybe finish an assignment or something like that? How do you still keep that going, but yet not have, you know what I mean? Just only
Too
give
much
access to
clutter.
certain kids.
Yeah. So in that case, for you as the teacher, I would recommend that reuse post, because
Okay.
you can reuse something that you already had and
Okay.
pull it forward. And if you're saying you want 2 kids to do this, where I had that all students, assign it just to those 2. And the nice part about that, Christy, nobody else sees that. It's just those 2 kids. So you're not confusing everybody else. But it also, what I would recommend for that second quarter, if you say, hey, I need to make a new classroom. I want this classroom done. That was a great first step. And now I'm ready. This skinny snowman here, please don't delete things. Just click archive.
Okay.
It just tucks it away. It's like my hands. This is the live Google Classrooms. I've archived it. It's still there. It's
Okay.
but you don't see it. And the important thing is that the kids don't see it because it's too much. But you can always bring it back.
Okay.
But it's one of those. It's a nice little Jedi mind trick. Now,
Thank
I will say one last thing. This to-do for students is brand new. Brand stinking new in the last 2 weeks. This is really a great use for remote time. Okay. In your classroom, this can work, but this piece is really great for if we go remote. And this is brand new and I love it. I am so in love with this. This little to-do.
Okay.
Students will have to review, teachers have. Student, teacher. So I am a student in a couple of these classes. That's why I have it. So I'm going to click on this. This page will show them what is assigned, what is missing, and what has been done. This was a huge ask in the spring. How do my students, how do my own personal children, that's what parents are asking. How do I know what they have done? How do I know what they have to do? How do I know what's missing? Before, it was just a big long stream of stuff and it was tough. So this is brand new. None of these have due dates to them. Okay, so it's just gonna chunk them all together. You can see I have 25. Your kids won't have this. I'm gonna click on that little caret. And then do you see this piece right here? Assigned this week. Right now I have nothing. I've got nothing next week. And even beyond that, I got nothing. So yay me, right? And then you can go to the missing tab. Oh, I have 2 things that are missing. It's even red. It's like that visual, boom, here you go. This isn't, and you can see that it's the 2. You can close it. But this, again, keep in mind for if we're remote, if a student is remote, 2 days, 10 days, 2 months, what have you, this missing tab is where you can talk to your parents. Go to the to-do list, click on missing, and then these are clickable. You can click on this and it takes you to that particular assignment. So the navigating is very simple here. And then the done, what are items that have been completed? Okay, so again, like by dates. So it's pretty nice. Okay, brand new. This is brand new. And to the point where somebody I was working with, they said they didn't have that option yet.
I don't have it yet.
It's
not on mine either.
coming. It's coming. Okay. So before we start school, I'm very confident that it will be there. Now, mind you, that's for the students. The to review is for teachers. Okay. I'm playing both roles here. In these.
Oh, it's there. It wasn't like 10 minutes ago. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah. It can happen like that.
And there it did. To do.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Anybody else have questions?
Sarah, can I ask a quick question? When we go in and create our topics for the first 9 weeks, like the week of blah, 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 do you suggest that we go in and add a question now and just schedule it for that week, or should we wait?
I see nothing wrong with you doing it. It could be the same question each week.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to, just know that the caution is always going to be, if you are scheduling something for in 9 weeks, you may have to take that back based on what's happened.
And that's an easy fix. We can always just go in there and click delete, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I might just add those questions now because I'm home and it's on my mind. I have the time. And if I need to delete them, that's an easy click down the road.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to balance that out, right? Like, am I better served to go ahead and plan that out, knowing that I might have to delete them? Or do I focus more on like planning out the first week? That's totally like a personal preference. Whichever.
Are we guaranteed to have our new Chromebooks by that first week of school?
When you say new, do you mean brand new?
Okay, that leads me to another question. So yes, I mean our brand new Chromebooks. My second question is, what happens if children aren't bringing back those Chromebooks we loaned out and I don't have a class set of Chromebooks when school starts?
Just kidding. We have a plan in place.
Okay.
You will have a cart of Chromebooks.
Okay.
Okay. 99% of me thinks they will not be new.
That's okay. Okay.
I would love it if they were. It's August 27th.
Sure.
I haven't heard that they're actually. I mean, in theory.
We were told the new ones aren't going to be here on time when school starts, so they were trying to get us our old ones back.
Okay.
True. And we've been
Right now, our
operating,
carts are empty.
I know. I kind of emptied them.
Yeah.
She did. Sarah, so when the students say you're out for 14 days because of their quarantine or whatnot, so their parents are going to be responsible for coming to pick up their Chromebooks and having them at home. I guess somebody would have to come get a Chromebook because our kids don't normally take them, each day. So, okay, that'll be something down the road that when it happens, just have to, okay.
Yeah. Do you feel like you get a lot of the, I'm not sure. Well, when it happens, we'll
Yeah.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's not happening. We're going to be okay. That's
I
just
feel
fine.
like a lot of this is going to be like when it happens, or we'll
I
cross
know.
that bridge when it gets to
Yeah,
it.
right.
And believe me, I know you guys are doing a lot of thinking and you're doing a lot of planning and you're doing a lot of this, but maybe that, and maybe here. Trust me, like we are all doing that too, to the point where I was talking to Nancy and Diana. We've had the same conversation. And I'm like, guys, I don't know what to hope for. I don't know if I want to hope that all the brand new ones come in and then I have 900 to 1,000 Chromebooks to get out onto carts to you guys to start the year as each day ticks by. Because that means also then your guys' carts are unloaded, but all of second and third and fourth are not. And you've seen the back of some of those Chromebook carts, right?
Yeah.
Undoing
It's
all
a
of
work
that.
of art.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tom may have had a couple of comments about that when we were undoing the carts.
Listen, it was a work of art and I appreciated it.
And that's what I said to him. I said, I will do it the same way again. I really would. But to think that we're going to do that.
Yes, it worked. I mean, it did not come undone.
Yeah. And then to reload all of them. Like at this point, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to hope for that or not. Or put back about 200, 250, even though they're old. And then tackle them when they come in. Like that's kind of the boat. And then I'm like, okay, well, if they come in, like I could, and then my brain just starts going. And then I'm like, I still don't have the answers. But I know that you guys will have Chromebooks. I promise you, you will have Chromebooks. More than likely not, they will not be the new ones.
okay. That's
Sorry.
okay. Thank you.
If I could make them come faster, I would, but
No, it's fine.
okay. Other questions? Concerns?
Thank you, Sarah, for everything.
Yeah, thank you,
that you're
Sarah. No, I
doing.
think I'm good for now.
Sarah.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, thank you, thank you.
Good information. Now I just
Yeah.
need to get started on setting up my classroom.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
This is great. Thank you, Sarah.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
And if you can make it tomorrow for either or both sessions, or if you can't, just know like we'll record them and it'll all get shared out again. And then these are all going to be there for you. You can refer to them. Obviously, when we're back in person, and we will be back in person, I'll be there with you. So don't hesitate. I mean, you guys have my cell phone, my email, all of that kind of stuff. But please, the last thing, if I can say, please don't think that you have to do everything digitally. You don't. It's just that unknown factor. Having this already set up and ready to go with that unknown could make that unknown a little bit easier in the future. That's our goal. That's our purpose. So it's not me saying technology is everything. It is not. It is not. Okay.
Thank you.